electric fireplaces are probably the best in this category out of all of the other ventless fireplaces because there are no real flames, there is no real combustion. So that means there is no actual air pollution, and the fireplace stays cool to the touch. When it burns, it's very clean, it doesn't produce any dangerous emissions into the air. There are freestanding models, wall-mounted. You don't have to have any connection, not electricity, not water, nothing.
The Modern Blaze Show.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Modern Blaze Show. Today we have a solo episode, it will be a short one, and I want to talk to you guys about ventless fireplaces. Ventless, vent-free, chimney-free. Essentially, those are the fireplaces that can be installed in your house without any chimney or venting. Why would you want one? Well, maybe you are remodeling a basement and you would like a fireplace in the basement that will be safe and provide some heat, or maybe you are moving into a house that is a fixer-upper and you don't have a budget for an HVAC remodel. That was my situation, and you want a fireplace. Maybe you live in a condo or an apartment building. So the fireplaces I'm going to name here, there are 5 different kinds. All of them are safe to use indoors and they provide heat to a different degree. So when I talk through different kinds of ventless fireplaces, I'm going to mention the safety and the heat situation compared to other types so that you can pick the one that works for you best. Okay, let's dive in. The first type of ventless fireplaces are electric fireplaces. This is my favorite type of fireplaces because they check a lot of boxes. Let's start with the heat. They do produce heat. It's not a lot of heat. It's not going to heat your house, but it's enough to heat a small room. And the heat works separately from the flames, so you can turn off the heat and use the flames even in the summer. And safety-wise, electric fireplaces are probably the best in this category out of all of the other ventless fireplaces because there are no real flames, there is no real combustion. So that means there is no actual air pollution, and the fireplace stays cool to the touch. Even when you have the heat on, the actual surface is cool to the touch, so if you have little kids, they're not going to burn their little hands. Safe for kids, for pets, for people with respiratory conditions. Overall, a great choice if you are concerned about environment. So electric fireplaces would be my number one choice for ventless fireplaces. There are a lot of applications where they can be used at, from residential to commercial, from basements to condos, apartment buildings, just literally anywhere, hotels, restaurants. Because of all of these features, they are the top choice for these locations. Now, the downside of electric fireplaces is that the flames are not real. So many people are concerned that the flames are not going to look real, they're going to look fake, and it's just not going to be worth the investment. I do recommend you guys watch the video that I recorded about realistic electric fireplaces. I will link it down below and it will probably pop up somewhere here. But we have the whole video just about that. Bottom line is, electric fireplaces have come a long way, and electric fireplace manufacturers have been focusing on making the flames more real. And over the years, they are able to make them look very, very realistic, especially the new type of electric fireplaces called virtual electric fireplaces. These guys look stunning. You sometimes can confuse them for wood or gas fire because they have such a realistic imitation, plus the crackling sound. They look fantastic. Obviously comes with a price point, but in many cases you get what you pay for. So that's it on the electric fireplaces. The second type, which is, you can roll it into the electric fireplaces, but I'm going to single it out as a standalone type, is water vapor fireplaces. They do run on electricity as well, but the technology is so different. Water vapor fireplaces produce a mist. They use water to produce the mist, very fine mist, and then there are LED lights that reflect off of that mist, creating the illusion of the flames and the smoke, and it's 3-dimensional, so you can install it as a 360 fireplace or like a fire pit. Many of them come with cassettes. Multiple cassettes can be connected together to make like a super long linear fireplace, which is really cool. There are units that are, completely like built into the wall. Water vapor fireplaces have same upsides as electric fireplaces. They are cool to the touch. They don't produce any dangerous emissions into the air. There is no combustion. The heat is about the same amount of heat as electrics, just enough to heat a small room. Heat works independently from the flames, so you can enjoy the flames year round. Now, on the downsides, the water, you actually have to run water to them, right? Now you have to come up with a way to get the water line to those fireplaces. Some of them have water tanks, but you still have to remember to refill those water tanks. However, they look fantastic, and all of the people who've purchased water vapor fireplaces from us are extremely happy with what they got. It is very unique to be able to put your hand through the flame and not get a burn. So they are super fun and beautiful looking fireplaces. Okay, moving on. The third type of ventless fireplaces are ventless gas fireplaces. So these are gas fireplaces that are designed in a way that burns off a lot of the emissions so that they can be installed indoors without any venting. That's the best way to explain it, I guess. And they come in different shapes and sizes. Obviously, it can be an insert, one-sided, two-sided, it can be with logs or contemporary. So you have all of the same options. Ventless gas fireplaces are not allowed in several states, so you definitely want to check with your local regulations and codes to make sure it's legal and allowed to be installed indoors in your area. I had a ventless gas fireplace in my house for several years back in Indiana. From my experience, it puts out a lot of heat. So if you run the fireplace for even half an hour, the whole downstairs is hot. So if the heat is something that you're after, look into ventless gas fireplaces. However, I wasn't very happy with it. If you don't want the heat, you can't really turn it off. There is not an option to turn off the heat. So that's the downside, in my opinion. Other than that, they're totally fine. Then for safety, obviously, with the ventless gas fireplaces, you don't have a vent, so many of the ventless gas fireplaces will not have like a glass in front of them. A lot of times will be mesh screen, so it's less ideal. Or some of them, like mine, only had safety glass in front, like a small one right in front of the flame. So if you have little kids who might potentially put their little hands in the fire, not ideal. So there are some safety concerns with gas fireplaces. However, the upside will be that you have real flame and you have a lot of heat. So totally up to you. It depends what you're after, right? Okay, so the next type of ventless fireplaces, number 4, will be our ethanol fireplaces. Ethanol fireplaces are interesting. They have a combination of pros and cons from all of the previous 3 types of fireplaces. Let me explain. So ethanol fireplaces are ventless, completely vent-free. You can put them safely indoors. They don't pollute the air at all. Ethanol fuel is essentially alcohol. When you burn alcohol, you don't put out any harmful emissions into the air. It's like burning a candle. But the downside is that you have to remember to refill that ethanol fuel in the fireplace. A lot of the bigger units will take a lot of fuel. You can run them for a couple of months and not have to refill them at all. But if you're getting a smaller, something that sits on the table or on the floor, smaller unit, you have to remember to refill it. Now, let's go through our heat and safety. So the heat. Ethanol fireplaces put out some heat, but it's mostly like ambient heat. You don't really buy an ethanol fireplace for heat. However, if you get a bigger unit, it's going to provide some decent amount of heat right around it. And if you don't want the heat, there is not a real way to turn it down or off. Heat, flame kind of go together, unlike electric fireplaces. And for safety, you have open flames, obviously dangerous. They can, knock over the fireplace if it's a freestanding unit and like spill the flame. Dangerous. Or if you have it on the wall, it's less so, but you definitely want to have like a protective glass, safety glass in front of it. So as far as air emissions, totally safe. As far as open flames, obviously dangerous, like many other fireplaces. That is it for ethanol fireplaces. The pros will be the actual real beautiful flames and no pollution. Cons will be the danger of the actual flames and having to remember to refuel the fireplace. Just like with water vapor, or there is not a real way to connect it to the supply of ethanol. So you'll have to continuously buy fuel and remembering to put it in the fireplace. Depending on what unit you get, it can be either every half a year or every couple weeks. Totally depends on the model. Okay, the last type of ventless fireplaces is not a very popular one, and it mostly comes in smaller units. So it is gel fireplaces. So gel and ethanol are very similar in the way that the fuel is alcohol based. So when it burns, it's very clean, it doesn't produce any dangerous emissions into the air. So you're not really like breathing any gases or anything like that. It's totally safe for as far as the air pollution. For the heat, I would say probably the same amount of heat. However, gel fireplaces oftentimes come in smaller sizes, so you're not going to get a lot of heat out of it. They're very decorative. There is a lot of like tabletop decorative pretty units that you might want to use at a wedding for just decorations on your patio even, or on your dining table. They're beautiful. They're really, really beautiful. The flames are real. They look pretty, but you have to remember to refuel this fireplace. So you have to buy the fuel and remember to put the fuel in when it runs out. The fuel comes in a gel form in the metal can. So you pop the can, you light it up. It's pretty simple, but again, for some, it's a trade-off. You don't want to be buying fuel over and over again. Overall, this is a great choice for people who would like to have something that is small but beautiful. The flames are really pretty. It can even be your little mini marshmallow or s'more maker. And there you have it. 5 different types of ventless fireplaces. You have electric, you have water vapor, you have ventless gas, ethanol, and gel. So many different options, right? But here is the rundown. So electric, not a lot of heat, but super safe. Water vapor, not a lot of heat, super safe. I would definitely recommend to hard plummet, so you don't have to keep refilling the water, but amazing 3-dimensional flames. Gas, ventless gas, lots of heat, not super safe, and not allowed in every state. Check your regulations. And ethanol, amazing, beautiful flames, but you have to refill the tank, right, with ethanol. However, you can install them literally anywhere, like anywhere. There are freestanding models, wall-mounted. You don't have to have any connection, not electricity, not water, nothing. So great choice. And gel, if you want something fun, decorative, tabletop, for the dining table, for the patio, amazing choice, super easy. Pop the can of fuel in, light them up, clean, not a lot of heat, but very safe. I hope this video was helpful if you're looking for a fireplace and you don't have a chimney or venting and you're looking for a solution. I hope you can find one, or at least you'll be able to start your research in the right direction. I will link the video to realistic electric fireplaces after this one, so make sure to watch somewhere here. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
The Fireplace Show.